Alright, so once again, it is time to do my picks for this weekend. And so let's recap what I did last week. Last week in college football, I went 5-3 for the 8 games I picked, at least for each team. I went 3-5 in the spread. Leaves me over total for 16-8 over the 2 weeks I've done this for, and 9-15 for the spread. Then in the NFL, I did terrible. I went 5-8. And then in the spread, I went 2-10. Once again, it was a crazy week in the NFL, though. At total right now, I'm 15-13. In the spread, 10-17. So, moving on to this week, where we have 12 games I have chosen out that I want to pick from in college football. We'll start with Appalachian State and the team that beat Georgia, South Carolina. South Carolina is favored by 5 points. And, quite honestly, I don't think this game's going to be close. Appalachian State's probably not going to put up a good fight against a good South Carolina team, especially with Javon Kinlaw in the middle of that interior defense. I don't think that Appalachian State has an answer for Javon Kinlaw. I have South Carolina covering the spread and winning this game. Then we have USC against Arizona State. Arizona State's favored by 1.5 points. This is going to be a really close game. That's all I got to say. It's going to be a fun game to watch, and I think USC will pull this out, but it will be a close game. It's kind of a toss-up between the two. Then we move on where we have Louisville, Miami. Miami's favored by 6.5 points. I think if this game was at Louisville, it'd be a blowout, and Louisville would absolutely dominate Miami. But since it's at Miami, I think it's going to be a little bit closer, but I still think Louisville will definitely cover the spread, and I actually also think they will win this game as well. So then we move on where we have Missouri against Georgia. Kelly Bryant against Jake Fromm. Kelly Bryant hasn't been doing as well, though. Georgia's favored by 17 points. I think Georgia's going to win this game. There's no question about that. But it's really, will Missouri cover? I think it's going to become close. I think Missouri will cover it, but it will be really close. Then we move on to Iowa State, Oklahoma. Oklahoma is a 14.5 point favorite after losing their previous week to Kansas State, and then they had a bye week after Kansas State lost. So they should be fired up. It's going to be a blowout. Oklahoma by a lot. Then we move on. We have Wyoming against Boise State. Boise State is favored by 13 points. Boise State is easily going to win this game, but Wyoming actually has a pretty decent team. I think they'll keep it in with that 13. Then we move on to Wake Forest and Virginia Tech. Wake Forest is favored by 2.5 points, and I think this is going to be a really close game. I don't know if Wake Forest or Virginia Tech will win. It's going to be really close. Virginia Tech's definitely going to cover its spread, though. It's just, will they win it? I'll say they win it. It's going to be close, though. Very, very close. Then we move on to Baylor and TCU. Baylor is favored by 2 points. It's going to be a close game once again. I don't think Baylor's going to win by a lot. Don't be surprised if TCU upsets Baylor, but I do think Baylor will end up winning this game. Then we move on to Kansas State and Texas. Texas is favored by 7 points, which is absolutely ridiculous because they kind of got embarrassed by Oklahoma who lost to Kansas State. So if you put that in perspective, Kansas State will win this game and will definitely cover the spread. Then we move on to Penn State, Minnesota. Penn State is favored by 6.5 points. This one of the big games of the week this week, and don't think Minnesota's played the tough schedule. That's why they're undefeated. Penn State will win. I don't really think this is going to be close either. Then we move on to Iowa, Wisconsin. Wisconsin's favored by 9.5 points. It's not even close. Wisconsin by a blowout. Iowa's not very good. It's only their defense. They have no offense. So Wisconsin just score a bunch. Iowa's got nothing to contribute them. So Wisconsin by a lot. Then we move on to LSU, Alabama. Game of the week. 2 versus 3. 1 versus 2 in some people's books, but according to College Football Playoff, it's 2 versus 3. It's going to be a close game. Bama's favored by 6. they're not getting the spread. It's going to be a close game. LSU will cover the spread. Then it just comes down to LSU or Alabama. Who will win? It really comes down to, is Tua healthy, fully healthy, or are they not? Or is he not? It's hard to pick against Alabama, so I gotta go with Alabama here. But it's gonna be fun. I cannot wait to watch this Saturday night thriller. So now let's move on to the National Football League, where first off we have Thursday Night Football, which is tonight. So we start with the Chargers and Raiders tonight. The Chargers are favored by a point. They will widely cover that. Raiders don't have an answer for the Chargers. The Chargers are back, and they just fired the offensive coordinator. So the Raiders really got nothing to go off of except for their one game. And one game's hard to go off of. Then we move on to Lions and Bears. Bears are favored by 2.5 points somehow. Lions will cover that by a lot. Lions will win this game, especially if Mr. Trubisky plays like he does. Then Ravens and Bengals. Ravens are favored by 10 points. Ravens will definitely win this game, but I think the Bengals will actually cover the spread. And Lamar Jackson is questionable, so it's going to be close. Bills and Browns. Browns are favored by 2.5 points, and somewhat, I don't understand this world. It's quite clear the Bills should be at least favored by 2.5 points, not the Browns. A lot of people have their hammer down on the Bills, and I got the same thing. Hammer the Bills. They're especially covering the spread, and they're 95% going to win this game. And then we move on to Chiefs and Titans. Of course, this one's a tough one. Chiefs are favored by 3.5 points. Titans have two different types of teams. They don't know what team they are. They're kind of like the Cowboys. And the Chiefs don't know if they're going to have Patrick Mahomes or not. But the Chiefs just came off a huge win, and I predict them to keep on rolling. Chiefs will cover the spread and win this game. Then we move on to Falcons and Saints. Saints are favored by 12.5 points. You gotta imagine the Falcons are gonna come back at some point. They still have an amazing offense. Defense is their problem, but their offense is amazing. The offense can't fail that many times, and their offense is gonna come out booming at least once. I don't think that's against New Orleans though, but I will expect it come sometime here soon. I expect New Orleans to cover this spread though and take the dub, of course. Then we move on to Giants and Jets. Giants are favored by 2 points, respectfully so, because Adam Gase is coaching New York Jets. It's hard to be a quarterback with Adam Gase as your coach, and it's hard to win games with him as well, unless you got some magic flu powder that you somehow pulled out of mono for at least one game, and that's your only win. Giants will easily win this game, and probably by a lot more than what people think. Then we move on to the Cardinals and Buccaneers, where the Buccaneers are favored by 4 points. I don't understand that. I mean, it really depends which Jameis Winston we see. It's bad Jameis, good Winston. It's confusing. He doesn't know which quarterback he wants to be. Arizona's a really good team, though. I expect them to win this game. At least they're a work in progress, good team. They're going to get there eventually. Kyler Murray definitely looks like he's the future there in Arizona, though. Then we move on to Dolphins. Colts. Colts are favored by 10 points. Darius Leonard's mad at how they played last week. Expect a blowout. Colts by a lot. Panthers and Packers. Packers are favored by 5 points. Packers just lost to the Chargers unexpectedly. Then again, they didn't have much film to look at for that offense. They weren't really prepared very well for it. Expect the Packers to be able to take control of Kyle Allen and win this game. Probably by a decent margin as well. Then we move on to Rams and Steelers. The Rams are favored by 3.5 points. Some people don't think the Rams are back yet. Quite surprisingly. The Steelers do look decent, though. I gotta give them credit. But it's the Rams. They are not beating the Rams. The Rams will definitely win this game. Steelers might be able to cover the spread, but I don't think so. The Rams will cover the spread. Rams will win this game. Put that down. Then we move on to Vikings and Cowboys. Cowboys are favored by 3. And this one's tough. I don't trust the Cowboys, but I don't trust Kirk Cousins in primetime. So it's like, which one do you take? And if Adam Thielen's out again, that's it really depends if Adam Thielen's out. If Adam Thielen's in, I think I would choose the Vikings. But right now, he's not predicted to be in. So I'm going to choose the Cowboys, but I think the Vikings will go against the spread and win the spread. Then we move on to Monday Night Football, which is probably going to be the best Monday Night Football game of the year, which we have the Seahawks and the 49ers. And the 49ers are favored by 6 points. I feel like we're going to say this every week. 49ers aren't good. You'll probably prove me wrong this week, but I'm going to pick against them. They'll prove me wrong. I know it, but I got to choose the Seahawks. Russell Wilson's the MVP right now, and that's why I got to go with. So, those are my picks this week for college football and the NFL. So, what are your guys' picks for this week for college and the NFL? I want to hear those down below. Also, is there any other games for college I should be interested in? I want to hear your thoughts down below for that as well. And of course, if you have a suggestion for a new sports video, I'd like to hear that down below, as your suggestion may just end up being one of the next videos. And of course, thanks for watching, and just make sure to keep the sports flowing throughout the day.